Yeah,
So,
don't play the idiot. Oh, hang on, I'm falling over.
Right.
We're here on top of the world. Well, at least it's the top of the Pennines on a gorgeous sunny day. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave, and you find us here today at a... Hang on, it's sunny, and we got a wind farm? What is... Oh.
Right. This may have been my fault. So I'm Jonas. I was navigating here. Think I should have typed in a solar farm.
I think you should.
We've ended up at a wind farm.
Anyway, we have to make do with this. It's actually quite relevant because Trump has announced a load of tariffs against China. China yesterday actually has retaliated against America. And one of the things they're doing is they're restricting the sale of cheap solar panels to America. It means they got loads of them up for sale. So is this a good opportunity for Rachel Reeves to jump on a plane back to China and sign a deal to buy up all of the really cheap Chinese solar panels for use in the UK? Because on a day like today, they would be pumping out the electricity.
Well, how many solar panels can she fit on the plane? Is she going to have to go back quite a few times?
I think she might want to hire a ship while she's out there, but we'll see what she does.
So, China has announced some tariffs in response to the US tariffs.
What a surprise.
Yeah, exactly. So, they've announced 15% tariffs on coal and liquefied natural gas. Now, is that something that impacts us?
The coal, no, we don't buy coal anymore. We got rid of all our coal-fired power stations. Liquefied natural gas might, if they can't sell any to China. We actually in the UK do buy liquefied natural gas. We got a big terminal at Milford Haven in West Wales. So we can actually take advantage of that. Whether we will,
so potentially the sort of 2.3% that currently goes to China could end up coming through to the UK.
If it's cheap enough.
Well, yes.
What else?
Moving on, we can also see there's 10% tariffs that they've imposed on crude oil, farm equipment, large displacement vehicles and pickup trucks from the US.
Yeah, we don't buy any of them, so yeah.
Not really going to shape anything.
I don't think
for us.
they're going to have any effect on us in the UK at all from them.
So what's the big takeaway from this then?
Well, takeaway is China's been very, very quiet and subdued on the tariffs. They've sent a message to America, we will retaliate, don't have any doubt about that. But whereas the US has put about 400 something billion products under tariffs, China's looking at about 50 billion return.
So what's really going on here?
I think it's more a bit of posturing. Trump has postured in his own way to Mexico and Canada and a little bit in the way of Europe. He's prepared to back down. I think this is China's way of just saying, look, we can do that as well. So whereas Trump has put tariffs on China to the value of 450 billion of products, tariffs on those, China's retaliated with about 20 billion. So
it's a little bit of a difference, that, isn't it?
It's a token. It's a message to say, look, we can do it as well. We don't want to start a tariff war, but we will if you carry on. And there's also going to be some total restrictions. These are not tariffs now. These will be restrictions on products. So they will ban certain things. We were talking about solar panels. They're also talking about tungsten. These are very valuable metals over in the States.
I suppose with all of this, though, is that this trade war seems to be escalating quite quickly. And this is sort of, we've seen layer upon layer of these tariffs. Potentially, is this an indication of where things could end up going? So if things keep going in this direction, could we see something more dramatic?
I actually think quite the opposite. I think everything Trump has said, he's backed down on so far.
Well, with the Mexico ones and Canada ones, certainly so far.
Yeah, I did say in a previous video that I think that he was using Mexico and Canada as an excuse to impose additional tariffs on China, which if he'd just done China would have been seen as very inflammatory. If he puts them on Mexico, Canada, Europe and talk about the UK and then backs down but puts them on China and doesn't back down, China can't say that they've picked on them.
And also China is sort of a natural target for that one. They don't want to disrupt the huge amount of trade that goes there. Whereas Canada and Mexico, it scares them up a bit, but then they back down and
So I see that actually, far from being inflammatory and escalating, this is actually quite mild at the moment. And there's a very good chance that if some of the automakers and some of the American industry reacts to the tariffs that China has put on, and they've been very carefully targeted, that it's possible that Trump will back down on the China one, say, well, we've made our point. They've now promised to stop making fentanyl and supplying it into Mexico. And the Mexicans have now agreed to stop bringing fentanyl in over the border. So
are these Chinese tariffs, have they gone into effect already?
They're going on the 10th.
Right.
We're, 6th today, I think it is.
Let's have a look for your 6th today.
So going on 10th. But that, again, it's strange from China because it gives 4 days for negotiation. Like with Trump, he had a few days negotiation, then he said, I've got to put him on hold for 30 days. There's 4 days now for Trump and Xi to negotiate and maybe not impose the China ones in retaliation.
So surely if China was trying to get the US to back down, Canada and Mexico, they kind of played hardball on that one, although they agreed to a few concessions that they were already doing, like guards on the security border. With China, why wouldn't they just go in with very large tariffs to basically fire a warning shot to the US to say, if you impose this, this will actually hurt you more?
Question more is, why would they? They don't need to. If they play softball, there's a very high chance, in my opinion, that Trump will back down on the China tariffs anyhow, or it's only going to be 10%. And China can live quite happily with 10% tariffs.
Do you think it's a psychological thing, which is that they are doing something to give Trump the impression that he has won and therefore he is just going to feel flattered by the situation?
I think it's part that, but it's also China, if they get away with 10% tariffs, they'll be quite happy with that. 10% on the price of a BYD, if they can import that into America with 10% tariff, they're going to be absolutely over the moon on that.
And I suppose also what has to be taken into account with all of this is that China is also playing a long game with the move to BRICS, the alliance with Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa.
But you've also got to look at the long game. Now, if I'm right, and I've done a separate video on this, we'll probably leave a link to that down below. What Trump has done, he has damaged the American legacy ICE industry more than the EV industry. His target was to destroy the EV industry. He hates electric cars, hates electric boats and everything, but he's out to destroy the EV industry. But all his tariffs and withdrawals and postponements and everything to date have actually hurt the ICE industry more because they all, GM, Ford and Stellantis, they all have factories in Canada, Mexico and China, most of them. And they're talking now, some of the top analysts and the accountants are talking about it's going to put about $3,000 on the price of a petrol car in America.
It's not going to make them more competitive, is it, with that sort of additional price?
What China might be doing is letting Trump get on with it and letting these tariffs stand. And that will destroy the American legacy ICE auto industry, totally wipe it out in completion. And they don't have a really good EV industry. So America will end up with zero auto industry. And China might well just step in at that point. Just a thought.
Be a bit more dependent upon these Chinese EVs. And also, it only has to look at the long game, which is that whilst Trump's in power for 4 years, China is still going to be trading with the US after those 4 years are up.
And don't forget that the Chinese auto industry for China is tiny. If you look at what China sells into America, it's none. They don't sell any cars direct. They sell some through Mexico and Canada or some components, but the amount of cars they sell into America is absolutely trivial. So China's got nothing to lose at the moment. Let Trump do all the tariffs and let them destroy their own legacy auto industry. And then one day when America's got no auto industry left at all, they still have to buy cars.
Well, it won't be nothing because Tesla is Tesla not based in the US
Tesla,
with their manufacturing?
Rivian, there'll be startup companies coming in, and they will want to be selling their cars.
So could that mean Tesla, whilst it's facing sort of drops in Europe in terms of sales, could Tesla become like the Ford of the 20th century, where it's just this dominant player and basically most American cars are going to be Teslas?
If you look at the Tesla 2024 financial report, it's the whole year report and it's a full summary. And what they say was we've been through a very horrible period in time. Started off 2019 with COVID, which destroyed a huge amount of industry, supply chains and everything else. We were just recovering. 2024 was a horrible year for an awful lot of industries, not the EV, not anyone in particular, the whole world effectively. But in the 2024 report, in the summary for the future, they're actually saying they have approximately 3 million cars capacity in existing factories. Last year they made 1.8 million. And they are setting a target this year of actually hitting 3 million. That would be, if it get anywhere near it, a 60% growth.
But what percentage of that production is in the US?
I would suggest very little. They have two factories. They have Fremont, which at its flat out would be 500,000, 750,000 cars. And they have Texas, which is struggling to get about 350,000 cars, so about 1 million. And they're hoping to do 3 million. So 2 million are not in the US. And don't forget, some of the output from Texas and Fremont actually goes abroad. We still get some Fremont cars in the UK.
So is there any sign that US production is going to ramp up? Is there any talks of new Tesla factories in the US if they're potentially talking about sort of dominating the market?
Paradoxically, yes. Now, this is pure money now. Forget Tesla and all these rantings and everything else. That's a separate subject. But the US average price for a brand new car in 2024 was $47,000. Without any IRA, that's the Inflation Reduction Act, any subsidies, a Tesla Model 3 is $42,000 list price. The Tesla Model Y is $45,000. These are list prices. If the tariffs hit and the ICE cars have to take a $3,000 hit on the...
Which is that figure that they are talking that they could be seeing.
Then the average price of cars for a petrol car will go up to $50,000. On pure money alone, a $42,000 Tesla is looking good against a $50,000 petrol. However, headline news today, Tesla has just announced a $10,000 price drop on all Tesla cars in America. That means that you go and buy a petrol car, average price $50,000, Tesla $32,000. There are a lot of American buyers who will go, I don't care what Elon Musk says, $32,000, I'm going to have one of them.
So do you think the price cuts are in order to sort of overcome the division over the Tesla brand?
Partly. I also think, conspiracy theory here, Tesla is possibly taking advantage of what China's doing, and they're both working together to try and get rid of the American ICE auto industry.
Oh, so actually the Tesla bringing down prices is designed to sort of turn the screw on Ford and other manufacturers.
So they've been out of kilter for so long. The average price of a petrol car now, cheapest car the Ford make in America, $30,000.
Yeah, but how you've said that there's sort of this limited manufacturing capacity. How much can they produce extra to actually impact the likes of Ford and GM? Are they going to have enough production to be able to make that difference?
Yeah, but the difference is not going to come in a day.
Yeah.
It's going to ramp up over time. And Ford and General Motors Stellantis is going to ramp down over time. So there's going to be this transition where sale of ICE cars in America is going to collapse and the sale of EVs is going to rise. Now, it's not going to be filled by Chinese cars because Trump won't allow that. It's not going to be filled with European cars because Trump won't allow that. The only cars he can fill it with is ones made in either Fremont, California or Texas.
So with the price coming down now, presumably the goal would be to increase the price once we're further into the transition from ICE to EVs.
Tesla has amazing dynamic pricing. You cannot say what the price of a car is. Unfortunately, in the UK, it is stubbornly stuck. Model 3, 39,000. It's the same price it was when I bought mine 5 years ago. Hasn't changed a pound in that time. In America, they go up and down like, well, I won't say like what, but they go up and down. So this could all be very strategic. And in actual fact, what this could be is Trump has started a tariff war that could end with the total destruction of the American auto industry making petrol and diesel cars.
So where does the UK stand in all of this? So we're talking about the UK being able to benefit from maybe cheaper solar panels, but what's going to happen with vehicles?
Well, we're already benefiting from cheap Chinese cars. They're coming in really fast and furious
the
at the
BYD
moment.
and things like that.
Well, not only that, the Leap Motor T03. We've got the Dacia Spring, which is Chinese made. We've got a load of other cars coming in, and we've now got Stellantis with the Citroen EC3 at 22,000. We've got
So are they Chinese ones or more?
No, these are
European. Just the
European
ones.
We've got my favourite at the moment is the Fiat Grand Panda. That's 20,995 on the road in the UK. It's a cracking car for that. So we've got that. We've got the Renault 5. Some people will love that. I personally don't. We've got the Hyundai Insta. We've got a load of cheap cars coming in.
So we're doing something very different to the US. So whilst the US is putting all these barriers up to stop the Chinese vehicles getting in, the UK has actually said it's distancing itself from the US and it's not in favour of a tariff approach.
Because one last thing to mention on this, and that is that number 1, 2, 3, 5 selling car in America, has always been Toyota or Mazda or Honda. It's a Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla.
Not really US brands then.
They've never made a little budget car. And the funny thing is that Toyota, Honda and Mazda have factories in Canada and Mexico. So they're going to be hammered. So America will be left without any manufacture of a little budget car. If Tesla actually comes out with a Model 2 one day, that is going to slaughter everything. Now, I know I'm wrong. All my viewers now are going to have their own comments on this. We've got a lovely big comments section down below. So put your comments down below. Why am I wrong? One other thing I would suggest, bookmark this video. Let's have a look at the results, the actual results in 12 months' time. See how wild my predictions were or how uncannily accurate they turned out to be.
Please, though, I moderate the comment section. Don't make too much work for myself. I know this is probably going to backfire, but let's see what happens.
Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'm Dave.
I'm Jonas, and join our Patreon.
Thank you.